Hi, I'm Phil. Welcome to Pretty Good Cooking.
Pretty good.
Tonight on the show, we're going to teach you how to make a Reuben sandwich. Also known as a Reuben. People really like this sandwich. And by people, I mean everybody. All peoples. This is a sandwich episode, but we're going to take the time to make the dressing from scratch. So that lends a little bit more legitimacy to an otherwise quick and easy show. I am going to timestamp this episode like I have been recently that we're in full swing for the coronavirus pandemic. I'm not letting anybody into my home other than John.
Do I count?
No, you live here. At any rate, we're gonna try to keep making episodes. We don't actually have that many in the pipeline. If we run out of episodes to publish for our regular scheduled programming, we'll resort to methods we've done in the past. May include cell phone videos, more live streams. Courtney may end up filming me at some point. We also may put out Friday videos. Don't worry, we're not going anywhere. At any rate, let's make a sandwich. And in light of the current circumstances in which we're trying to avoid going to the stores, we're trying to kind of conserve what we got or make do. I want to introduce to you the updated Phil special. It is homemade kombucha mixed with miscellaneous bourbon. So, let's crack open a booch. And this could easily explode. Ah! Okay, so we'll get my glass, run it through a strainer. Oh my lord. Today we'll have very old Barton. Very old Barton. No need to put this through a filter. So let's add a little more foam. Alright. And there it is. The updated Phil special. It tastes like, almost like a spiked Arnold Palmer with carbonation. Alright, so in order to make this a legitimate recipe, we're gonna make the dressing. You could just buy Russian dressing. That's what I've done my whole life. Russian dressing is kind of it's a weird one. It's like a little bit tomatoey, it's a little bit sweet, it's definitely savory. But other than that, it's just kind of like a tan or pink color. And this is one of the only times that normal people eat Russian dressing. It's also not Russian. I think it has nothing to do with Russia. It's just called that. It's a mayonnaise-based dressing. So here we are with our mayonnaise using a hefty amount. That looks good to me. To which we will add the equally awesome ingredient of ketchup. I think slowly but steadily it's coming out of here. I think it's the viscosity of ketchup can be described as thixotropic. That's your vocab word for the day. It's the thixotropic.
Nerd.
My wife called me a nerd. Alright, that's probably enough ketchup. So I don't know if bottled Russian dressing has this or not, but we're gonna put horseradish in it. We're all horseradish fans here. Me, John, and Courtney. So this will definitely pump up the party. And I think that part of why this would be so good is that a lot of times you eat corned beef with horseradish sauce anyways. We're gonna add a lot. It's a party sauce now. Next up, we're gonna add Worcestershire Sauce. Shake the bottle. I will comply. So this is gonna give you the umami, the weird, everything. Weird everything. And then we're gonna add some paprika, or as I sometimes call it, paprika. Some salt, some pepper. Last but certainly not least, some sugar. I'd like to thank John for procuring ingredients for me in this trying time. He managed to get me the last pack of sugar. Alright, there's the sugar. And using the back of this spoon, I'm gonna mix it all up. Looks awful. Doesn't that look awful? So I think it needs more sugar. Probably could use some more horseradish. I'm just gonna pour some of that juice in there. Looks good. I think it needs vinegar. Like it doesn't, does Russian dressing usually have vinegar? I feel like it just needs a little bite. A little bit of apple cider vinegar. Oh yeah, that's what it needed. Tastes good. It tastes kind of like a Reuben, honestly. Like that's like a familiar taste. So there's our dressing. Now all we gotta do is make a sandwich and put it on. Easy peasy. All right, so today is actually St. Patrick's Day. And I bumped up my planned menu and cooked my corned beef and cabbage yesterday so that I could use the leftovers to film today's episode. That's partially because we've already done corned beef and cabbage. So here we are with tonight's dinner. I'm gonna serve some of the leftover veggies from the corned beef and cabbage. So I'm gonna start heating those up. They look terrible, but it tastes great. So I'm just gonna scoop some of this out. Pop a lid on this, get it heating up. So the vegetable's already soft, so I'm not really worried about them getting softer. All right, so the only rye bread that we could find was this loaf. And it's not an ideal loaf for making sandwiches, but just like that weird can of corned beef hash. We're gonna have to make 2 in these trying times. That's fine, no problem. So we're gonna cut the center in hopes of making a couple of sandwiches, you know, that are of reasonable size. And as we make more sandwiches, they'll just get smaller and smaller. But that's okay. Small sandwich never hurt nobody. So we'll put those on a plate and set them aside. All right. Okay, so you got an option. You can heat your beef back up, or you can try to like cook the sandwich long enough to heat it. My beef is relatively thick, so I'm gonna heat it up. I'm gonna, just in this pan here, I'm gonna grab some of these beef slices. And the beef slices look a little bit weird because I poured some of the stock over them. So the reason they look the way they do is that they're covered in fatty stock. That helps keep them moist, which is desirable. So we'll just get some beefs like you do, and we'll heat them on up. Now, do we need to put any oil in here? Hell no, these things are covered in fat. These things are like 50% fat. If you didn't know, corned beef is a brisket, typically. Another critical ingredient will be sauerkraut. And I recently made my first batch of sauerkraut. This is my baby jar. And all it is cabbage and salt. Literally not even any water because there's so much water in cabbage. And it tastes great, so we'll be using that. And the final thing is cheese. It's Swiss cheese. I've got this Swiss and Gruyere blend, which I think will melt nicely. Or you could just use regular Swiss cheese. And then we're gonna fry the Sammy. Is this a sandwich episode? You're watching how to make a sandwich on the YouTube. The beef's relatively warm, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull it out of the pan. All right. And now we have a nice greasy pan here. Looks great. That's what the people want to see. To that greasy pan, I'm gonna add some butter to melt. And at the same time, I'm gonna use spreadable butter. That's right. This stuff has a legitimate purpose. It's for spreading it. So spread your butter on a bread. Thin layer should be fine. Thin layer. Hard to spread with this knife. It's not for spreading, but these are desperate times. In your pan, which is way too hot. Turn it down. You take that bread, you put it down. You take a beef, you put it on there. Couple beefs. They're a little hot, my hand hurts. Okay, next up, some kraut. No, some cheese. No, some kraut. Getting a little juicy in here. You get a little kraut on the side, no problem. And then the cheese. Gruyere makes everything fancy. All right. Okay, next up is our dressing. Be generous with the dressing, but don't be dumb. Okay, and if you want to add a little more beef, now's the time. Maybe I should have heated up more beef. And finally, the top layer of your Sammy. Now, if you got a spatula, you can compress the Sammy. Compress the Sammy. Okay, and just let it just do its thing. We're gonna let that do its thing. I bet you're real excited to flip this, because that's gonna be easy to do. We'll be back. All right, it's time to flip. If you're worried, and I'm worried, lift your pan up a little bit, like that, and give it a better try than that. But look at that, you can just scoop it back in with limited issues. That's right, pretty good cooking. It's cooking with limited issues. Kind of looks like we could have added more cheese. This would be much easier if you had, like, you know, white bread. White bread doesn't have as much problems holding together. I always like to add a little thick salt when I'm frying a Sammy, like that. I think that's gonna be good. And you gotta let that fry. We'll be back. I'll show you what this sandwich looks like. Okay, first Sammy's done. Looks pretty decent to me. I'm gonna transfer that to a plate. You can see it's falling apart a little bit. This is partially because I did not use enough cheese, but that's okay. But look at that. There's your Reuben. Here come that taste test. And look, isn't that a thing of beauty? Doesn't that just look like incredible? All right, I'm going in. That is a really good sandwich. I think actually it could even use a little more sauce. I might like open it up and drizzle some more. Oh, that's fantastic. It's greasy as all hell. I mean, we cooked it in butter, so I guess that tracks. But that is a really delicious sandwich. You can taste corned beef is featured and it's complemented. That sauerkraut, like a little bit of fermented flavor. A lot of people say this is the best sandwich. It's up there. Make this. It's better than just the corned beef and cabbage we ate yesterday. And that's how you do it. Make good choices. All things aside, make good choices. Iggy, make good choices. You too, Vinny.